Really good to have your company today on the Midday Brief. Let's quickly get into our headlines. An incarcerated managing editor of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, Kenneth Amoako, has regained his freedom from jail, but insists he has not regretted his comments leading to his jail sentence. Now, the world marks Population Day with focus on adolescent pregnancy. We will be touching base with relevant authorities for more insight into the activities today. Now, what has the Prison Service Authority to say after the lockout of 14 senior officers of the prison service in Takoradi by an angry landlord for non-payment of rent? We will find out here on the Midday Brief. And students at the Miocho campus of the Central University College protest school fees increments. Now, some of the students will be airing their concerns also on the Midday Brief. Stay with me. I'll bring you details of these stories and many more, including foreign sports and showbiz in a bit. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano, and you're welcome to the Midday Brief. And so first up, incarcerated managing editor of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, Kenneth Amoako, has regained his freedom after his release from jail Thursday morning. He served his 10 days prison sentence imposed on him by Ghana's Supreme Court, which found him guilty of criminal contempt. Now, after walking out of what some have described as jail tour because of his frequent transfer from one jail to the other, Amoako has told journalists he believes his sentence was unjust.
Yeah, the Tuesday was a traumatic day. It is not easy to face that type of panel. We had our disagreements. The consequence was that I take a little journey and a little rest. It is unfamiliar surroundings. So we went and then we were given a place to sleep. At dawn, they decided to shift us. So it has been a very interesting experience.
Right. What was going through your mind when you were being moved from one prison to the other, and the whole of Ghana were all it was all in the news, and people were agitating about your movement? What was going through your mind?
Well, I tried to keep calm. I tried to keep calm in the sense that these were uniformed people. This was a very well-known system. It is very difficult for something bad to happen to somebody in the penal system because you have warders and prisoners around you virtually 24 hours of the time. I must use the opportunity to commend the official warders. You see, they did their best to keep me comfortable. Obviously, you could see that there was an unseen hand manipulating to move me from place to place. But the people who were on the ground and had to work with me, they were going through the same suffering that I was. Okay. I really at some point did not feel secure. Okay, I can say the first time they moved me, I was deeply frightened. In the night, 2:45 a.m., men with guns picking you up, traveling in the night, parking in dark places. It has not been a very pleasant experience with regard to some of those aspects. Not very pleasant. But it was night and then it was day. I met people. And for me, some of the things that have happened have been inspirational. I met a group of young men, 18 of them. I was the 19th prisoner in the cell. And these were guys who were hungry. They were dirty, they were sleeping on the floor. But in the evening, they would sing and thank God for having taken them through the day. And at dawn, after cockroaches and bed bugs and mosquitoes, they would wake up again and sing and thank God for the night. It was an inspiration. Hope is eternal. It was
Finally, what next? Now that you're back, what next?
I am hoping that by Sunday I will transmogrify myself back into the ordinary journalist, and then I'll join you. If I'm going to take a few days rest, but by Sunday, Monday, I'll be back behind this desk, worrying my computer and worrying about the next edition.
Moving on, some 16 million girls under age 18 give birth each year globally. Now, many have no access to vital information that could save their lives and their future. Now, without improving adolescents' access to friendly reproductive health services here in the country, Ghana will be off track achieving MDG 5.
17 and already a mother, Dede Ayi still has no idea what reproductive health care entails. She is barely able to care for herself. Now she has to care for a 3-month-old.
My grandmother takes care of us because I have no job and money.
She was thrust into this situation, no preparation, no information, simply no idea what the consequence of one's action could be, just like many adolescents globally.
We haven't integrated sexual reproductive health and rights for the youth. Our providers are still saying, Accra Bonnie, why are you coming here asking for, contraception and so forth? They don't even want to go. And so their peers are telling them what to do, what to think. And so they're getting all the wrong information and doing all the wrong things, the things that are endangering their lives and not empowering them.
Even in urban areas, reproductive health centers are rare. The few accessible ones are not friendly.
If we could get such a center where we would just walk in and access information, we would be very glad.
Regina Mensah, 19, is also in a difficult situation. Like Dede, she had no idea what she got herself into. The only difference, she was 18. Dede and Regina's grandmother does her best to care for them and their other siblings. Now she has an extra 2 mouths to feed with the same resources. Young people are increasingly left to learn about sexual issues from their peers with far-reaching consequences.
We need to give young people information so that they can make choices in their lives. And I'm not saying that, we tell them to go and have, sex or anything like that. No. In countries like Holland, where they really believe in educating and empowering young people, from the age of 3, you start learning about your body, how to respect your body. We are a very religious society, and our children are having sex far earlier than a non-religious society, and that's because they are empowered.
Adolescent sexual and reproductive health may be of concern to health workers, but the needs of young people remain poorly understood. As the world's population approaches 7.2 billion, with a large number being adolescents, health experts fear the inaction of leaders could jeopardize the future of many young people.
Information that the youth need when they come to a clinic, a Ghana Health Service or any kind of service provider is just to be sensitive to their needs. And that's a simple training that somebody needs to go through. If we fail to do this, we will have a cohort, a generation who have not planned their lives. They have not planned their families. They will be less educated than we are now because there will be so much dropout. Our development as a country will this middle income that we are all trying to achieve and trying to attain and so forth would not be a reality.
Millennium Development Goal 5 targets to achieve universal access to reproductive health by 2015, and it may be possible if adolescents have access to friendly reproductive health services and information.
Right, and so we're trying to get in touch with the Executive Director of the National Population Council as Ghana joins the rest of the world to mark World Population Day. Stephen Owusu, once we get Stephen Owusu, would bring back the story and then do the interview. But let's move on to some other stories. 14 senior officers of the prisons service in Takoradi, they have been locked out of their homes by an angry landlord for non-payment of rent. The officers who have been occupying the 14-flat facility at Fijai, a suburb of Takoradi, for nearly 2 years, are alleged to be owing the landlord 129,000 Ghana cedis. Now, joining is Kweku Owusu Prepra, who witnessed the lockout, reports that the landlord said he is tired of the many unfulfilled promises by the prisons. Now, prisons authority to pay the rent. According to the landlord, John Kobina Adisu, the last communication was done on the 17th of June 2013, asking them to make payments before 1st of July, else he would throw them out. But nobody from the prison service has communicated to him since. John Kobina Adisu, said he even called the regional commander DDP J.E. Kaku about the matter, but that did not yield any results either. Kweku Superpress says the service is yet to issue a statement on which action to take, but while they decide what to do, the senior officers remained locked out from their home. The Director of Public Affairs of Ghana Prison Service, Courage Achem, is supposed to join us on the telephone, but unfortunately he is not on the telephone, and so we'll move quickly to some other stories where scores of property owners affected by the Nsawam Suhum and the Medina Denton Road projects have given the government a 1-week ultimatum to pay the compensation due them or risk a blockade of the 2 major roads connecting Accra to other parts of the country. The affected people include landlords, chop bar operators, mechanics, farmers, welders and electricians whose properties were demolished to pave way for the construction of the 2 major roads that may pass as the busiest roads connecting the 2 large cities in the country, Accra and Kumasi precisely. Now, however, after waiting for about 5 years, the affected property owners, including a 102-year-old man, Joshua Boche Yemo, clutching onto a walking stick for support, lost their patience and stormed the premises of the Ghana Highway Authority at the ministries in Accra yesterday to demand the payment of the compensation. Now, Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Highways Authority, Francis Hammond, who received the petition, promised to relay the concerns to the Ministry of Finance for redress. He also admitted that the government had outstanding compensation to pay to property owners affected by the 2 road projects under reference. He, however, pleaded with them to exercise restraint and give the ministry some time to redeem its financial commitment. In some news from our educational sector, students at the Miocho campus of the Central University College near Dawenya are protesting the increment of school fees by the university authorities, a seemingly failure on the part of the Students' Representative Council to advocate their welfare. So a section of the students who are final year physician assistants say the university authorities will not be fair to them in asking them to pay their new bills, since they in particular will not be on campus during that academic period. But according to them, as physician assistants, their course requires to be out of campus for a 1-year practical program, after which they will only return to write exams. They therefore do not see the reason they should be obliged to pay the new bill being introduced. Now, one of the aggrieved students, Herman Gordon, will be joining us on telephone in a bit. Hello, Gordon.
That we are trying to resolve. We, the level 400 physician assistant students, are not getting. We are not going to be on campus from next semester. But the bill they are bringing to us now is just about 2,800 Ghana cedis. And previously, what we normally pay is about 1,008. So we are asking the school authorities if they can come out to come and explain the bill to us. And at the moment, those of us going out of campus, we don't enjoy any school facilities. So we don't even expect that the school fees should be going up to 2,800 Ghana cedis at the moment. So the executives are currently meeting with them, and we are hoping that maybe they will comply with whatever petition that we are giving to them, and then resolve it.
Right, absolutely, Herman. We know that bit, but what is the situation at the school at the moment?
Yeah, where I am now, there's a noise. There are people making noise here, so I can't actually hear you.
Right. What if you could just move away from the noise a bit so we can hear exactly what you're saying? You've been telling us that they are asking you to pay.
Previously, with the president of the school was not there, so today we were told that he's around, so he's ready to address the grievances. So we are just still keeping our fingers crossed that maybe we will hear something positive at the end of the meeting.
And what are you expecting him to do? Reduce the school fees? What exactly?
Hello?
Right, you've been saying that indeed that they have increased the school fees to close to 1,000 Ghana cedis, and for you.
I can't hear you at the moment clearly.
Right, we'll try and get you back on the telephone line then, Herman. Herman Gordon is a student of the Central University College. He's been telling us that the authorities in the school have agreed to talk to them today on their school fees increments that students, especially physician assistants, have been protesting against. And school fees is supposed to increase to over 2,000 from the a little over 1,000 that they used to pay. And so while we try to get Gordon back on the telephone line, let's do some other stories where the principal state attorney, Stella Bedu, has submitted a document of default judgment debts for victims molested by the police in 2008, 2009 and 2011. So Commissioner Justice Yao Apao indicated that cases of this nature, as minor as they are, could have a great impact on the Ghanaian economy.
For the Commission of Inquiry, Justice Yao Apao, an appeal court judge, disclosed that documents submitted are of default judgment. Names of some victims brutally molested by the police in the file are first names, and added the judgment debt might end up in the hands of unexpected individuals, causing a sink in the Ghanaian economy.
The situations against George, Ghana Police. I mean, there could be 1,000 judges in the Ghana Police Service. And some of these things, they may not be clear, and the police officers to find it difficult even to trace the type of judge. Taking the case of our transfer, how officers are transferred in the system, defense, is not known. Then the court just grant judgment. Judgments are granted in settlement because the Attorney General has been served. There are just few huge pain, but these ones, they appear, smaller when you look at, you compare them, but they are numerous. And when you put them together, they might be even greater than the way we all cry about.
Stella Bedu explained the police involved are not identified to date and therefore did not help in the case proceeding, emanating in that challenge.
Well, my lord, sometimes we do.
Sometimes do you move?
Yes, we move. We liaise with the head of legal in the police service, and then he would give us to whoever is in charge.
So when the Attorney General is served and the actual culprits, are not known, and you are not able to put up any defense, and it goes to the courts look at what the law says. The Constitution says all actions against the state is the Attorney General who must be served. So the moment the Attorney General is served, it is the person who should assist the Attorney General to say put up a defense is not known. Then the court just grant judgment. Judgments are granted in settlement because the Attorney General has been served. What is the problem?
My lord, like I said, at present, we make more efforts to contact the police apart from our letters. So I don't think that these things will be happening today.
Dometico Fisokpo, the lead counsel commission for judgment debt inquiry, stated the sum involved in the judgment debt as at now is still being tabulated and therefore cannot mention the total figure of those tabulated.
We are still tabulating, there are a whole lot of them, so we have not gotten the fixed number yet. But at the end of it all, you certainly get the number that is made available to us.
Other cases on board relating to the judgment debt which were not discussed will be discussed at the next gathering.
Industries targeted to pay recent tax hikes approved by Parliament are worried about its implications for their operations. The businesses under the Private Enterprises Federation say they would want to approach government with proposals on other revenue mobilization options.
Chief Executive of the Federation, Nana Osei Bonsu, tells Joy News their members are already reeling under severe economic strain brought on by, among other challenges, the erratic electricity supply situation. He explains the timing of the tax hikes is bad, especially as they have not been consulted.
When all of a sudden, without consultations, a new wave of taxes are imposed, it disrupts the already planned strategies where business was going to create little things or other things based upon the internally generated income based upon their profit margins. So our concern is that government possibly could have and should have possibly engaged the private sector and look at avenues which should not disrupt our operations which would make it possible for government to also generate the revenue that they're looking for.
He says government could consider other options.
Free zones, a lot of companies that are coming in are enjoying freebies basically at the time because we wanted to generate jobs. Are they creating the jobs that we want? Are they creating the opportunity that we're looking for? So, and then the tax exemptions. Have we gone back to review all the tax exemptions and see if they are right, if they're still valid, if they should be removed? And so we have to look at, you cannot leave any sector or any areas untouched. Has government thoroughly reviewed its expenditure, prioritized things that are necessary, that are needed for the economic growth? In these difficult times, it's not everything that we can do.
Industries are required to pay a 5% fiscal stabilization levy in addition to a corporate tax of 25%. Other taxes include the talk tax and special import levy. Banks, mobile operators, breweries, as well as mining companies are directly targeted. But Nana Osei-Bonsu says there will be a cascading effect on other sectors, with consumers bearing the final brunt.
Right, so earlier we told you that 16 million girls under the age of 18 give birth each year. But here's what's scary. Another 3.2 million undergo unsafe abortions. Now, as Ghana joins the world to mark this year's World Population Day, we focus on adolescent pregnancy. We want to find out the extent to which child marriage and inadequate education or sexual coercion affects Ghana's population. Now, joining us by telephone is Executive Director of National Population Council, Stephen Owusu-Kwache, to help us discuss the issues here. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Right. This year we are focusing on adolescent pregnancy. How bad is the situation here in the country?
Thank you very much for having me. Actually, my name is Kwanchi, not Kwachi.
Come again.
I'm saying the name is Kwanchi, not Kwachi.
Right. Thank you very much for the correction. But if we go on quickly as well, how bad is the situation as far as adolescent pregnancy is concerned in the country?
Well, as for how bad or how good it is, statistics will tell you, and then will make your own judgment. But the information we have from data in Ghana suggests that 750,000 adolescents give birth every year or become pregnant every year. We know that not all of them end up in full-term delivery because of abortion that is also there. And we don't have the full information on abortion in Ghana because people are not willing to come out with the true picture on the ground. But we estimate up to about 11-14% abortions taking place that are recorded. If you add the unrecorded, then you can see that up to about 20% of pregnancies are terminated. But we don't have actual figures on that for reasons due to the fact that some of these are done behind closed doors and not many are willing to come out, even in the survey, to inform you about it. Aside that, we have the issue to deal with family planning and contraceptive use among these adolescents who are sexually active. And when you compare them with the generality of the population, the family planning or contraceptive use among them is quite low. And because of that, we have high pregnancy among them. You'll recall during the last BET that was held in this country, some of your stations and some of the media outlets reported about pregnant girls writing exams, and some could not write because they were pregnant.
Right. Even
here in Techiman, where we are, we have just learned that the statistics in the metropolitan area indicate that 75 girls became pregnant at the time of writing the BET in 2010. And that figure rose up to 111 in 2011. And in 2012, it shot up to 170. It means that by the time they were supposed to be writing the exam, they were already pregnant and therefore could not continue. You see, these are some of the things that we are talking about, and it shows you the magnitude of the challenge.
Right, obviously it does, but one of the pointers for the reason we have a lot of adolescents being pregnant and a lot more going unsafe abortions, and as you have confirmed that a lot of these are not recorded, and so we can have proper data on this, is access to health care. Is the Population Council doing something about it, and what?
You see, Population Council, our role is not to implement anything. Our role is to find out what is happening, coordinate the information, and bring it to the doorsteps of the institutions and organizations that are responsible for implementing action programs to address them. And advice goes to the president and the presidency. So that is what we do. And often every year what we do is to organize a debate and to present a message and then hear from the public. But this year it is slightly different because since it is on adolescent pregnancy, we decided that why don't we focus on those that the issue affects most. And so we decided to hold a youth colloquium where we have assembled a number of students from the JHS and SHS schools in and around Techiman municipality, plus some out-of-school youth, to tell the story, to tell us what the situation is, how they feel. And if, for example, they were the Minister for Health, for example, what would they do to address the issues? And our intention is that after listening to all of them, we package whatever they tell us, and then we will present it as a communique or a report to government and the institutions that are partnering us to address these issues, and then see the way forward in addressing them. For me, as the Executive Director for the National Population Council, my concern is not just for government to do something in this direction. Yes, government has a role to play, but parents, adults, and the general public also have a role to play in starting with communication with young people early enough for them to be equipped with the right information.
Right. And so, Stephen, what is going on in Techiman today, as we understand that the day is being marked in the Bunahafo region in Techiman?
Yeah, that is exactly what I told you a short while ago by saying that we are at the Techiman Senior High School, and we have brought selected number of students from 10 schools, both junior high and senior high schools, to assemble them here.
Right.
And we have a collection of out-of-school youth and adolescents also here. And we are here led by Curious Mind, that is a youth advocacy group, to listen to 5 speakers from the student group. One speaking as the Minister for Health.
Right, and so basically it's going to be a forum today.
It's a colloquium.
Colloquium, right. Thank you very much, Stephen. Stephen is Executive Director of the National Population Council, and he joined us from Techiman. You're watching the Midday Brief. When I return, we'll do some more news. You're welcome back, and moving on with news. Ghanaians have been urged not to rely too much on foreign investors, but cultivate the habit of investing in the country to boost the economy. Eduanani Enchi, Director General of Securities and Exchange Commission, said this at the launch of the 3rd edition of the Ghana Investment Awards. The need for developing capacity into investment has become important in improving the economies of countries. This requires that citizens invest in their own country's economy to move it forward. It is in this regard that Ghana Investment Promotion is encouraging Ghanaians to cultivate the habit of saving and investing in the country to boost our economy. Eduana Nienchi is the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. He was speaking at the launch of the Ghana Investments Award here in Accra.
Every country that has developed because there are the availability of long-term capital. If you want to build the roads, if you want to build the bridges, if you want to open factories, you want to go into any production, long-term production, you need long-term capital. So regardless of whatever is happening, there's a need for us to mobilize sufficient long-term funds to work on the development of this economy. So it is key that we invest.
The theme adopted for the third edition of the Ghana Investment Awards promoting investor education and awareness for sustainable investment drives. Kelvin Abdallah is president of Premier Networking Investment Club, organizers of the awards.
Only 1% of the Ghanaian public participating in the investment market industry. Contrast that with the banking industry where we have something around 30 to 40%. I don't have the exact number. You will see that there is a very large expanse of space that can be filled up by the investment banking industry. And the only way we can achieve this is to ensure that the whole concept of investment moves away from the financial analyst and from those who are perceived as experts and comes down to the very people who should be putting their money there. Because it's not only the millions that makes up the industry, but if we get people to put in their thousands as well as their hundreds, ultimately would contribute to a better investment industry.
The event is slated for 3rd August 2013. And Chairman of Government Select Committee on Energy, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, has proposed the government's deregulation of petroleum products be managed and not fully implemented. Government decided earlier this year to remove subsidies of petroleum products because of its inability to pay about 70 million Ghana cedis owed the National Petroleum Authority.
In an interview on the Joy FM Super Morning Show, Dr. Kwabena Donkor emphasized that removing the subsidies of petroleum products because of government's indebtedness to the National Petroleum Authority makes sense, but products such as premixed fuel should still be subsidized. The former Deputy Energy Minister further stated that total deregulation can stall the process of national cohesion.
For a developing country, I will opt for a managed deregulation. A managed deregulation in the sense that we need to hold this country together as a political entity. We need our social cohesion not to be disturbed by market forces. And therefore, I make the proposition that even with deregulation, petroleum prices must sell at the same price across the whole country.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Dr. Alex Mould, underscored Dr. Donkor's position on making sure that deregulation does not make petroleum products overly expensive in certain communities in the country. He encouraged the private sector to invest in the petroleum industry.
With deregulation, what's going to happen is, like I said, businesses definitely should drive the policies and not politicians. Businesses should drive the policies and make sure the policies work for the investment to come into the country. This country needs a lot of investment. We spend over $4.5 million of importing petroleum products, which is almost a third of all the foreign currency that we earn. And as such, we should encourage private investment. Otherwise, the government is supposed to spend this money. It's going to stifle the amount of money banks can lend to private sector, one. Two, it's going to stifle the amount of money government is going to have to do other infrastructure areas where private sector will not be able to participate.
It is expected that subsidies will be removed totally from petroleum products by the end of the year.
Telecoms provider Tigo has launched the Reach for Change initiative as part of its vision to help solve societal problems. The initiative is aimed at improving the lives of children by empowering social entrepreneurs in their respective communities.
Speaking at the launch, the General Manager of Tigo Ghana, Obafemi Banigbe, says since the inception of Reach for Children some 3 years ago, the company's main aim has been to provide financial support to social entrepreneurs with innovative ideas on how to help improve the lives of children. He adds the initiative is to reaffirm the commitment to promote entrepreneurship.
Improving the lives of children. Today, together with Reach for Change, we are affirming our continuous support to invest in individuals with the right tools, with entrepreneurship skill, and with innovative drive to make sustainable improvement and change.
Tigo, in collaboration with a Swedish-based non-profit organization, currently supports 9 social entrepreneurs under the Reach for Change project. Each beneficiary is given an amount of $25,000 to start a 3-year project. The call for entry ends on August 6, 2013.
Right now, Freed Ken Crunchy, editor of the Daily Searchlight, addressed members of the press at the headquarters of the National New Patriotic Party. Let's take a look at it.
I wish everybody here a very good morning, and to tell you that we have taken the biggest blow yet, and we are still on our feet. We are still standing very strong. I want to use this opportunity to thank many Ghanaians who, through kind have been of assistance to me in this very difficult moment. First and foremost, let me thank the most enlightened politician of our times. In my opinion, the most enlightened politician on the African continent today. His name is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I want to thank him very much. I want to thank the leadership of the New Patriotic Party. I can mention Professor Michael Quay, Jacobete Bilamte, the leadership of the MPP, and the membership of the MPP, and the entire support base of the MPP for the great assistance that they have given to me at this time. Of course, everybody knows that when it comes to politics and political parties, the MPP is the greatest political party on the continent of Africa as well. I also want to use this opportunity to thank the president of this country, to thank certain leaders of the National Democratic Congress Party and members of the NDC who have, in one way or the other, supported me at this time. The issue is that what we are talking about is not MPP or NDC. We are talking about standing for principles and conscience and free speech and freedoms of this country, so that certain people believe that certain things ought to be protected. For all those people who supported me at this time in that particular political party, I want to thank them very much. Now, again, I want to use this opportunity to thank my pastor, Reverend Arthur, Reverend Kankam, the Methodist Church of this country, and then specific.
Right, and so moving away from that story, as part of its 5th anniversary, The Standpoint has launched a foundation to support abused girls in Ghana. Now, the Girl in Need Foundation was launched with the opening of the fundraising box containing money raised in the presence of media persons as a proof of accountability.
The Girl in Need Foundation seeks to make a difference by providing help, hope and healing to the abused Ghanaian girl. Though the foundation's focus is to support abused Ghanaian girls below 18, exceptions will be made for boys in extreme cases. The money counted in the presence of the media amounted to 7,542 Ghana cedis, 35 pesos and 20 pounds. According to Gifty Auntie, host and producer of the Standpoint talk show, it is about time people started acting instead of just talking. She also encouraged fellow journalists who write stories on abused girls, as well as the general public, to pass on their findings to the foundation.
We are throwing the challenge to our colleagues in the media who go around, who do such stories. If you hear of any girl who is in need or qualifies for our support, please let us know. We are also calling on societies, communities, neighbors to identify some of these girls and let us know.
UK-based Ghanaian gospel musician Alan Burton Kaiko, who partners the foundation, encouraged fellow musicians in the country to cultivate the habit of giving back to society. The foundation intends to advertise a bank account for prospective donors to contribute.
Let's do some world news now. And in a first story, South African President Jacob Zuma says Nelson Mandela is responding to treatment but remains in critical condition. He said this after visiting the former president. And the former president and global statesman, 94, has been in hospital battling a recurrent lung infection since 8th June. In Canada, police have said 30 people still are missing since Saturday's train disaster in a Quebec town, and who are mostly probably dead. 2 bodies have already been found after a runaway train carrying oil derailed and exploded in Lac Mégantic.
Some fans who watched the game with keen interest have been sharing their assessment of the game to Joy Sports.
Left side was very weak where the second goal was coming from. But the second half, the boys play well. They play well. They play very good game.
And the match is over, but how you will do it? There's nothing we can do. I mean, I'll put all the blame on the coach. he is the one make all the mistake. So there's nothing we can do.
Has the coach done?
You read the people how they play. From the first starting, you see that they play speed game. So you load the game and then to play with them. But you cannot allow yourself score you front and back. I think it's very bad.
The boys did very well because, but we lost the game from the bench. You understand? Because if you look at the France coach, he did very well because when France were leading 2-1. Because look at the changes that he made because they were down by a man, one man. You understand? But you know, Boachi Adam, he was on the bench. You should have bring Boachi Adam about even 10 minutes to the time.
They played very well. Only the first time they didn't do well, but the second half they played very well. Though they've scored us.
Oh, very poor, because we are lacking experience and we are not putting much effort. Because when we meet them on the group stages, they overcome us 3-1. So we have to work on things to overcome them this time. But yesterday we relaxed, so we have problem. We have to work on that problem we have.
Some sports fans speaking to Joy Sports. Now, away from the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, Premier League champions Kumasi Asante Kotoko are aiming to clinch a double as they face SC Midiama for the MTN FA Cup on Sunday. At stake is 30,000 Ghana cedis trophy and a CAF Confederation slot.
This is the third edition of the MTN FA Cup final, which will see Kotoko lock horns with Midiama at the Accra Sports Stadium on Sunday. To all intents and purposes, Kotoko are determined to make mincemeat out of the counterparts, Midiama, who failed to pick up neither the league nor the President's Cup. Both coaches contend the MTN FA Cup is theirs.
We can travel to Accra even on Sunday. We've done it before coming by air and then to another game. We're working for Kotoko and Medium at the same time. We are working for Black Middays, so we are moving together until maybe we get to somewhere where.
And that's it for sports. My name is Clarence Kwesi-Apia.
Welcome back, and quickly, works on the construction of the 200 senior high schools promised by President Mahama is about to begin following reports provided by the committee set up for the purpose. It also comes on the back of reports that some students may not have places of studies when school resumes in August. Now, this was announced by the Deputy Minister of Information and Media Relations, Felix Kwache Ofosu, at the daily briefing today.
His Excellency the President has received a report on the progress of work of the committee that is looking at this plank of the presidential priority projects. Indeed, the report contains a number of details regarding the costing or the costs of the projects. The report also touched on recommended designs. The report speaks about specific districts and in fact specific locations within those districts where those schools will be sited. In fact, sample models of the schools have been provided, and after this session you will be taken to the third floor where one of such models is displayed, so you can take shots of it and report on it accordingly. Also, you would recall that in the budget statement presented by the Finance Minister earlier this year, he indicated that provision had been made for the commencement of work on the first 50 of these projects. You would also recall that in the 2012 manifesto presented by the NDC, it was indicated that the project was going to be constructed in phases and that 50 of them would be constructed annually. So the budget statement provided earlier this year makes provision for the construction of, or the start for the construction of 50 of these schools.
In showbiz, a member of the Hip Life group, Stephen Fiao, popularly known as Prior Tietia, has issued a stern warning to his Facebook fans who say he has been posting insults on his page. Now, insults come in the wake of reports that his girlfriend Sedi, who is one of Ghana's representatives at the ongoing Big Brother Africa, the Chase reality show, alleged had sex with a fellow housemate on the show. Right, so you're still watching the Midday brief, and gone by was showbiz. But now various stakeholders have made inputs and validated working manuals ahead of the implementation of a new legislative instrument for the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training.
COTVET is a regulatory and a policy-making body responsible for the coordination of technical and vocational education for both the formal and informal sectors in Ghana. COTVET prepares students for work through workplace experience learning. The workshop is a third of a series of workshops organized to gather inputs from stakeholders and validate working manuals for the Council. 10 of the manuals have been approved by the COTVET board and its implementation has begun. There were stakeholders from various parts of the country, including rectors, principals from technical institutions, members from the informal sector, and representatives from the Ghana Employers Association. Publicity coordinator of COTVET is George Ferguson Lane.
A learner at some point in their education goes to an industry to try and gain experience. It wasn't that well regulated, but with workplace experience learning, what happens is that before the learner even goes, the training institution signs a memorandum of partnership with the industry. They agree on what the learner is supposed to achieve within that period, and then afterwards it is assessed. So there's close collaboration between the training institutions or the training provider and industry.
Meanwhile, consultant for COTVET, Stephen Texan, says there is hope for Ghana because COTVET is bringing up competent personnel to develop industries which will ultimately solve the current problem of youth unemployment in Ghana.
There's hope for Ghana because Ghana, I say our challenges is because we are not going the way international best practice in TVET delivery. So now when we are going this way, it's going to build a lot of competences for industries to develop and also to solve our youth unemployment. Because you find out that worldwide trend, when you look into tech and vocational education, about 80% of all worldwide activities are from TVET. So when the reform is taken into that direction, it's going to help us to meet our unemployment situation.
Well, that's it for this. Before we go, a quick recap of our headlines. And colloquium for teenagers underway in Techiman as Ghana joins the rest of the world to mark Population Day. Prisons Service Authority will not comment as after 14 of their senior officers in Takoradi have been thrown out of their homes by an angry landlord over non-payment of rent. Thanks for your company. It's been totally a fantastic in the meantime, go to myjoy9.com for some more news. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano. Goodbye.